The council chamber stretched as far as the eye could see. 7 massive thrones held 7 different alien species, each one ancient beyond human understanding. Ambassador Maya Chen stood in the center, her small human frame dwarfed by the grandeur around her. Behind her stood 50 other humans, scientists and engineers and teachers, all waiting to hear their fate. Humanity requests membership in the Galactic Council, Chen said clearly. Her voice echoed in the vast space. The Vrak's representative clicked its mandibles. The insectoid creature was 12 feet tall, with eyes that reflected light like mirrors. "We have observed your species for 200 years, it said. Its voice came through a translator, flat and emotionless. You are adequate, curious, emotional, sometimes violent, but unremarkable. Chen felt the words like a slap, but she kept her face calm. Unremarkable. After everything humanity had achieved, they were just adequate. However, the Varax continued. All species must pass the integration test. You will establish an outpost in the fringe territories. Survive 1 standard cycle. 6 months in your time measurement. If you succeed, we will reconsider your application. Chen nodded. We accept. The other council members said nothing. This was routine for them. Just another species trying to join. Nothing special. Nothing interesting. 3 days later, Chen and her team stood inside a transport ship heading to the fringe territories. Dr. James Park, a biologist with gray hair and sharp eyes, sat across from her reading a datapad. Have you read about the fringe? He asked quietly. It's a border region. Lawless, but manageable, Chen replied. Park shook his head. I did some research. 3 other species tried this test in the last 50 years. All 3 failed. To abandon their outposts within weeks. The third. Well, there's no record of what happened to them. Sophia Reyes, a young engineer with oil-stained hands, leaned forward. Why would the council send us somewhere dangerous and call it a routine test? Maybe they want us to fail, Park said. Maybe they don't want humans in their club. Chen looked out the window at the stars rushing past. Then we'll prove them wrong. The outpost was worse than they expected. Kepler 442 station floated in empty space, far from any planet. The metal structure was old, scarred by weapons, fire, and meteor impacts. Inside, the air was stale and half the systems were broken. Home sweet home, Sophia muttered, looking around at the damaged corridors. The team got to work immediately. Sophia and the engineers began fixing life support and power systems. Park and the scientists set up laboratories. Teachers prepared classrooms for the few children who had come along. Chen established communication systems and began studying their neighbors. The fringe was not empty. Dozens of independent stations floated nearby, home to aliens who wanted nothing to do with the council. Merchants, refugees, pirates, and outcasts. They all watched the humans with suspicious eyes. They think we're council spies, Park said after their first week. We need to show them we're not, Chen replied. By week 3, the outpost was livable. The humans had done more than just survive. Sophia had created a beautiful garden in one of the cargo bays. Using salvaged equipment and seeds from Earth, the sight of green plants and flowers amazed the alien visitors who came to trade. I've never seen anything like this, a Quilner merchant said. Touching a tomato plant gently, the bird-like alien's feathers ruffled with emotion. In the fringe, nothing grows. Nothing beautiful exists. Beauty exists everywhere, Sophia told him with a smile. Sometimes you just have to create it yourself. That same day, an emergency signal screamed through their communication system. Chen rushed to the control room. It's a Quilner ship, the communication officer said. Under attack by pirates. They're asking for help. Where are they? Chen demanded. 30 minutes away at full speed? Chen looked around at her team. They had no weapons. No military training. The council had made it clear the fringe was not their responsibility. Helping could be seen as interference. We have to do something, Park said quietly. We can't just let them die. Sophia was already moving. I can modify our mining drones. Make them look like weapons from a distance. Maybe we can bluff. Chen made her decision in seconds. Do it. Prep the shuttle. We leave in 5 minutes. The rescue is chaos. The human shuttle arrived to find the Quilner ship surrounded by 3 pirate vessels. Sophia's modified drones swarmed out, their lights flashing aggressively. The humans broadcast false engine signatures, making their small shuttle appear like a battleship park. Despite his fear, opened communication channels. This is the human vessel Enterprise. You are attacking our trading partner. Withdraw immediately or face consequences. His voice shook slightly, but the translator didn't show it. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the pirate ships pulled back and jumped away into hyperspace. The Quilner captain's face appeared on their screen. His orange eyes were wide with shock. You saved us, why? We are nothing to you. We cannot repay this debt. Chen smiled. We didn't do it for payment. Where we come from, we help because we can.
Oh.
The Quilner was silent. Then he said something that would echo through the fringe in the days to come. You are not like the council species. You are different. This will either save you or destroy you. After the Quilner ship jumped to safety, the human team returned to their outpost. They were exhausted but proud. They had saved lives. What they didn't know was that their actions had been noticed. All across the fringe, aliens whispered about the strange new species. The ones who helped without asking for anything in return. The ones who created beauty in darkness. The ones who risked everything for strangers in the council chamber. Thousands of light years away, the Vrax received the first reports of human activity. It read the data 3 times, its compound eyes reflecting confusion. This makes no sense, it said to itself. They helped their potential enemies. They gained nothing. They risked everything. Paused, mandibles clicking nervously. Either humans are the greatest fools in the galaxy, or we have completely misunderstood what they are. The Verax made a decision. It would send an observer to watch these humans more closely. Something interesting was happening in the fringe, something the council had never seen before. Part 2. What makes humans strange? 2 months had passed since the humans arrived at Kepler 442 station. The outpost had changed completely. What was once a dead, broken structure now buzzed with life. Lights glowed in every corridor. The sound of laughter and conversation filled the air. The smell of cooking food drifted from the cafeteria where humans and aliens shared meals together. Ambassador Chen walked through the station with pride. Her team had not just survived, they had thrived. Morning, Ambassador, Sophia called out. She was teaching 3 young Quilner how to repair a power coupling. The bird-like children chirped excitedly as sparks flew from their work. Careful with that tool, Sophia warned gently. It's hot. Yes, Teacher Sophia. They chirped in unison. Chen smiled and continued her rounds. In the medical bay, Dr. Park was examining a Druval patient. The slug-like alien had come from 3 stations away after hearing that human doctors would treat anyone, regardless of ability to pay. How's our patient? Chen asked. Park looked up from his scanner. Mineral deficiency. Simple fix. I gave him supplements and a diet plan. Right. He lowered his voice. Maya, we've treated over 300 patients in 2 months. Word is spreading. Aliens are coming from all over the fringe. Is that a problem? No, Park said thoughtfully. It's just... ... No one else does this. The council species don't help people in the fringe. They consider it beneath them. But we can't seem to stop ourselves. Chen placed a hand on his shoulder. Then we won't stop. That afternoon, another distress signal arrived. Chen recognized the signature immediately. Pirates, the same group that had attacked the Quilner ship months ago. Should we respond? The communication officer asked hesitantly. The command room fell silent. Everyone remembered these pirates. They were enemies. They had tried to kill innocents. What's their situation? Chen asked. Engine failure. Life support failing. They have maybe 6 hours? Sophia spoke up from her station. They're still people. Still living beings who need help? Park nodded slowly. If we help them, they might attack us later. And if we don't, Chen said quietly, we become just like everyone else in the fringe. We become people who decide some lives matter and some don't. She took a breath. Prep the rescue shuttle. The pirate ship was a wreck. The humans brought them aboard carefully, checking them for weapons. The pirates were weak, barely conscious. Their leader, a massive creature with 4 arms and gray skin, stared at Chen with confusion. Why? He asked in broken English. We are your enemies. You were our enemies, Chen corrected. Right now, you're patients who need help. The medical team worked for hours. They saved all 12 pirates. When the leader was strong enough to sit up, he asked to speak with Chen. I am Krovik, he said. His voice was rough like grinding stones. You should have let us die. We don't let people die when we can save them, Chen replied simply. Krovik stared at her for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He bowed his head. I owe you a life debt. All my crew owes you. We will not attack humans again. And we will tell others the humans are not prey. They are. He searched for words. Something else. Something we don't understand. After the pirates left, now allies instead of enemies, the station celebrated. But Chen felt uneasy. She knew the council was watching. Every action they took was being recorded and judged. Her fears were confirmed the next morning. Ambassador, the communication officer said nervously, we have an incoming ship. Council markings. Corvin design. Corvin. The galaxy's most famous observers. They were cold, logical beings who had studied thousands of species over tens of thousands of years. They never got emotionally involved. They just watched, recorded, and reported. The Corvin who emerged from the ship was tall and thin, with blue skin and large black eyes. It wore simple robes and carried a datapad that seemed permanently attached to its 3-fingered hand. I am Xenographer Tillith, it said in a voice like wind chimes. I am here to observe humanity. You will pretend I do not exist. And observe it did. For days, Tillith followed the humans everywhere. It watched Sophia teach alien children. It recorded Park treating patients. It documented every meal, every conversation, every moment. On the 5th day of observation, everything changed. Plague alert. The communication system blared. Station Gamma 9 reports outbreak. Highly contagious. Fatality rate 90%. All nearby stations advised to evacuate. Station Gamma 9 was only 2 hours away, home to over 500 aliens. Already, ships were fleeing in every direction. No one wanted to risk infection. What are we doing? Sophia asked. Looking at Chen. Park pulled up data on his screen. This plague. I've seen something similar in Earth's history. There might be a way to treat it, but it would require going to the infected station. Working directly with the sick. That's suicide, the communication officer said. We'll all get infected. Chen looked at her team. 50 humans who had volunteered for this mission. 50 people who had families back on Earth. I won't order anyone to do this, but I'm going. Who's with me? Every single hand rose. Tillith watched this in absolute silence. Then it spoke, its voice carrying a hint of something almost like emotion. This is not rational. You will likely die. For beings you do not know, who cannot repay you. Dr. Park was already suiting up in protective gear. You're right. It's not rational. It's not smart. It's not profitable. But we're doctors, scientists, humans. We don't abandon people when we can help. Why? Tillith asked. The question seemed to genuinely confuse it, Sophia answered while checking her medical supplies. Because someone has to care. Someone has to try. And if not us, then who? The mission to Station Gamma 9 was a nightmare. The infected aliens were dying in horrible ways. Their bodies rejected the plague violently. The humans worked in shifts, never stopping. Park analyzed the disease and developed a treatment using Earth medicine and alien technology. 3 humans got infected despite precautions. For 2 terrible days, the team thought they would lose them. But the treatment worked. Slowly, the infected humans recovered, and so did the aliens. When it was over, 473 aliens had survived. 27 had died before the humans arrived. But 473 were alive because humans had rushed toward danger instead of away from it. The saved aliens gathered to thank the humans. They brought gifts, offered services, pledged loyalty. Chen accepted their gratitude, but asked for nothing in return. "You owe us nothing," she told them. "Help someone else when you can. That's payment enough." That night, Tillith sat alone in its quarters, trying to write its report to the council. Its fingers hovered over the datapad. For 10,000 years, Corvans had observed species with perfect clarity. They categorized, analyzed, and predicted behavior with mathematical precision, but humans broke every model. Every prediction, every rule Tillith began to type. Humanity operates on principles not documented in any known species. They prioritize emotional satisfaction over survival. They help enemies. They risk death for strangers. They create beauty in chaos. They teach without expecting payment. They heal without asking for compensation. It paused, then added one more line. "I do not understand them. But I am beginning to believe that understanding them may be the most important thing the Council has ever attempted." In the station cafeteria, humans and aliens celebrated together. Music played. Food was shared. Children laughed. And for the first time in the Fringe's violent history, beings from a dozen different species sat together in peace. Park raised his cup in a toast. To being unremarkable. Everyone laughed and cheered. Sophia leaned over to Chen. "Do you think the council is watching?" Chen smiled. "I hope so. Because we're just getting started." Part 3. The Observer's Report Cenographer Tillith had observed 347 species in its long life. It had documented empires rising and falling. It had witnessed wars, peace treaties, first contacts, and extinctions. In 10,000 years, Corvans had perfected the art of observation. They prided themselves on never being surprised. Humans surprised Tillith every single day. It had been 3 months since Tillith arrived at Kepler 442 station. 3 months of watching humans do impossible, illogical, beautiful things. And Tillith still could not write its report to the council, because it still did not understand what humans were. "Good morning, Tillith." Sophia called out as the Corvan passed the engineering bay. She was covered in grease, laughing with 2 Druval apprentices. "Want to help us build a water recycler?" "I am an observer," Tillith replied, as it always did. "I do not participate. Your loss," Sophia said cheerfully. "We're making it sing when it's done. Musical water recycling. The kids love it." Tillith made notes on its datapad. Human subject displays joy while performing manual labor, incorporates aesthetics into functional design, shares knowledge freely with alien species. Motivation, unknown. That afternoon, chaos erupted. Emergency signal. The communication officer shouted, "Pirate vessel under attack? Heavy damage. Multiple casualties." Chen rushed to the command center. "Who's attacking them?" "Another pirate group. Gang war. The Council's standing order is to not interfere in fringe conflicts." Tillith observed carefully. The logical choice was clear. Ignore the conflict. Pirates fighting pirates was not humanity's concern. The risk was high. The benefit was 0. "Prep the shuttle," Chen ordered. Medical team suit up. Tillith's large eyes widened. "Ambassador Chen? Those are pirates? They attack innocents. They steal. They kill." Chen was already moving. "They're also bleeding and dying. We can judge them later. Right now, they need doctors." The rescue was dangerous. The pirate ship was torn apart, bodies floating in space. The humans worked quickly, pulling survivors into their shuttle. One pirate, a female Kresh with 4 eyes, grabbed Chun's arm weakly. "Why help us?" She whispered. "We are criminals. You're also alive," Chen said simply. "And we'd like you to stay that way." Back at the station, Dr. Park and his team worked for hours. They saved 8 of the 12 pirates. When the survivors were stable, they expected to be locked up or thrown out. Instead, Sophia brought them food. Teachers offered to tutor their children who had been on the ship. Chen visited them personally. "What happens now?" the Kresh pirate asked. "Her name was Vekla," Yuhil Chen said. "Then you make a choice. Go back to piracy, or try something different." "Different like what?" Chen smiled. "That's up to you. But if you want to learn a trade, fix ships, study medicine, we'll help you. No judgment, just opportunity." Vekla stared at her. "No one has ever offered us opportunity. Only punishment or death." "Then it's time for something new," Chen replied. Tilith recorded everything. That night, it tried again to write its report. Its fingers trembled slightly over the datapad. Korvans did not tremble. They were logical beings, emotionless, perfect observers. But Tilith was beginning to feel something. Confusion, doubt, and something else. Something it had no word for in its language. Wonder the following week, a new crisis emerged. A Quilner science station detected something dangerous, a quantum rift forming near their location. If it expanded, it would destroy everything within 10 light-years. Including Kepler-442, the Quilner scientists sent out a desperate call. "We need quantum physicists, engineers, equipment. We cannot stop this alone." Chen looked at her team. They had scientists, but not quantum specialists. They had engineers, but not the equipment needed. The logical choice was to evacuate, save themselves, let someone else handle it. "Pack everything," Chen said. "We're going to help them," Maya, Park said quietly. "We don't have the expertise for this." "Then we'll learn," Chen replied. Fast. The humans worked alongside Quilner scientists for 3 days straight. They combined Earth physics with alien technology. Sophia and her engineering team built devices based on theories they barely understood. Park cross-referenced biology databases to understand how quantum energy affected living tissue. They failed twice. The rift grew larger. "This is hopeless," a Quilner scientist said, his feathers drooping with exhaustion. "We should evacuate." "Not yet," Sophia said, staring at her calculations. "I have one more idea." "It's crazy, but crazy's what we do best," Chen said. "Show us." Sophia's idea required overloading 3 power cores. Simultaneously, while channeling energy through a crystalline matrix they had to build from scratch, the math said it had a 30% chance of working, and a 70% chance of making everything worse, the Quilner scientist pointed out. "Then let's make sure we're in the 30%, Park said, rolling up his sleeves. They built the device in 6 hours. It was ugly, held together with welds and hope. But when they activated it, the quantum rift began to shrink. Slowly at first, then faster. After 2 hours of sustained energy transfer, the rift collapsed completely. The Quilner scientists stood in shocked silence. Then they erupted in celebration. They embraced the humans, their feathers fluffing with joy. "You saved us," the lead scientist said to Chen. "Saved all of us. And you didn't even have the right training." Chen laughed tiredly. "We had something better. We had motivation." Tilith had watched the entire event. It made detailed notes, recorded every calculation, every decision, every moment of doubt and triumph. But when it sat down to write that evening, it found itself unable to be objective. "They should have failed," Tilith said aloud to its empty quarters. "They had insufficient knowledge. Inadequate equipment. The probability of success was minimal." It paused. But they succeeded anyway, because they refused to accept failure, because they believed they could do it, because they cared enough to try the impossible. For the first time in its long life, Tilith felt its carefully constructed understanding of the universe crack. It had always believed intelligence was the highest virtue. Logic, reason, calculation. But humans showed a different kind of intelligence. They combined logic with emotion, reason with compassion, calculation with hope. And somehow, impossibly, it worked. The next morning, Tilith made a decision. It went to Chun's office. "Ambassador Chun," it said formally, I must ask you a question. It is personal, not part of my official observation. Chen looked up from her reports. Of course, Tillith. What is it? Why do you help everyone? Pirates, strangers, former enemies. You gain nothing. You risk everything. Your species should be extinct with such behavior. Yet you thrive. I do not understand. Chen was quiet for a moment. Then she stood and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. Tillith, do you know what humans were like before we reached the stars? She asked, violent, divided, self-destructive. Yes, Chen agreed. We almost destroyed ourselves. Wars, pollution, hatred. We came very close to extinction. She turned to face the Corvin. But we survived. And do you know how? Tillith shook its head. We learned that we were stronger together. That helping each other wasn't weakness. It was strength. That the only way to survive was to care about more than just ourselves. Chen smiled. So when we see others in danger, we remember who we were, and we remember who we became, and we try to help them make the same journey. Tillith processed this. You help others because you were once in need of help yourself. Exactly. This is ... Tillith searched for words. This is profound. It's actually pretty simple, Chen said. We help because we can. Because we should. Because if everyone did, the universe would be a better place. That night, Tillith finally wrote its report to the council. It was the most difficult document it had ever composed. Because it had to admit something no Corvin had ever admitted before. I do not understand humanity, Tillith wrote. But I believe that is the point. They operate on a frequency the council cannot measure. They succeed where they should fail. They risk when they should retreat. They care when they should calculate. Tillith paused, then added the most important line. I recommend the council reconsider its evaluation. Humanity is not adequate. They are not unremarkable. They are extraordinary in ways we have never encountered, and the galaxy will be changed by them. It sent the report and sat back, feeling something new, something almost like hope. Part 4. The true test 6 months had passed since humans arrived in the fringe. Kepler 442 station was no longer just an outpost. It had become a hub, a community, a home for hundreds of beings from dozens of species. The humans had transformed a dead station into something alive. In the council chamber, thousands of light years away. The debate raged. The humans have exceeded all expectations, the Corvin elder said, its ancient voice carrying weight. Xenographer Tillith's reports are extraordinary. Exactly my concern, the VARC's representative clicked angrily. They are too extraordinary, too disruptive. They ignore protocols. They help criminals. They create chaos wherever they go. They create community, the Quilner ambassador countered. They saved my people. They saved countless others. The Varax's mandibles clattered with frustration. They are dangerous, unpredictable. If we admit them to the council, they will undermine our entire system. The debate continued for hours. Finally, the Vrax made a decision. A dark decision. One that violated council ethics. But the Varax believed it was necessary. It contacted the Krell. Syndicate the Krell were the most feared mercenary group in the fringe. They had no morals, no loyalty, except to profit. They had destroyed colonies, enslaved populations, and left entire regions as graveyards. If someone needed violence, they hired the Krell.
You want us to attack a council-sponsored outpost?
Voreth, the Krell commander, said through the encrypted channel. He was massive, covered in scars with eyes like dead stars. That will be expensive. Name your price, the Vrax said. Destroy the human outpost. Make it look like a random attack. Leave no survivors, Voreth smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Consider it done. 3 days later, Chen was in the cafeteria, sharing lunch with Sophia and Park when alarms blared.
Ow.
Incoming vessels? The communication officer shouted. Multiple signatures. Military grade. They're not responding to hails? Chen rushed to the command center. On the screens, she saw them. 15 warships, each bristling with weapons. The Krell Syndicate's infamous skull emblems glowed on their hulls. Everyone to emergency stations, Chen ordered, her voice calm despite her racing heart. Get civilians to the shelters. Park stared at the screens. Maya, we can't fight them. We have no weapons. No defense. I know, Chen said quietly. Sophia's hands flew over her console. I can overload some systems. Create some explosions. Make them think twice. They're hailing us, the communication officer said. Chen straightened her uniform. Put them through. Voreth's scarred face appeared on screen. Humans, you have 1 hour to evacuate. After that, we destroy your station. This is not negotiable. Why? Chen asked simply. Vorath seemed surprised by the question. Why? Because we are paid to. We are mercenaries. This is what we do. Who paid you? That information is confidential. Chen nodded slowly. Vorath, may I come aboard your ship? To discuss terms? Park grabbed her arm. Maya, no. They'll kill you, maybe, Chen said. But talking is better than dying without trying. Vorath looked amused. You wish to negotiate? Very well. Come alone, unarmed. You have 10 minutes. The shuttle ride to the Krell command ship was the longest 10 minutes of Chen's life. She thought about her team, about the children in Sophia's school, about Park's medical patients, about all the lives depending on her. The Krell ship's interior was dark and smelled of metal and blood. Warriors lined the corridors, each one capable of killing her with ease. They led her to the bridge where Vorath waited. He was even more intimidating in person. 8 feet tall, covered in battle armor, with weapons strapped to every surface. You are brave, Vorath said, or foolish. I have not decided which, neither Chen replied. I'm desperate. And hope makes people do extraordinary things. Hope Vorath laughed. Hope does not stop plasma cannons, Chen agreed. But let me ask you something. Why are you a mercenary? Vorath's eyes narrowed. What? Why do you fight for money? What do you do with that money? That is none of your concern. Humor me. You're going to kill me anyway, right? At least let me understand who I'm dying to. Vorath was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke, his voice like grinding stone. I fight to protect my clan, my family. The Krell homeworld is poor, harsh. Without the money I send, they starve. You're a soldier, a protector. You do terrible things for a noble reason. Do not try to manipulate me, human. I'm not, Chen said honestly. I'm trying to offer you something better. Better than money? Yes. Purpose. Vorath laughed again, but it sounded hollow. You are insane. Chen pulled out a datapad. I did research on your syndicate, on every warrior in your fleet. I know about your second-in-command's daughter who needs medical treatment. About your pilot's brother who was enslaved? About your engineer's family living in a refugee camp? Vorath's hand moved to his weapon. How do you know this? Because we care, Chen said simply. We researched you not to threaten you, not to blackmail you, but to help you. She held out the datapad. These are offers. Medical scholarships, asylum, education, housing, for every warrior's family in your fleet. Vorath stared at the screen. His scarred hands shook slightly. This is a trick. It's not. I'm offering to hire you, not to destroy, to protect. The fringe is full of people who need protection. Refugees, merchants, innocents. Help us create something better than endless violence. We are mercenaries, Vorath said, but his voice lacked conviction. We are killers. You're survivors, Chen corrected. So are we. So is everyone in the fringe. The council abandoned this region. But we haven't. We're building something new here. Community, hope, safety. We need protectors. And you need purpose beyond just money. Why should I believe you? Chen looked him in the eyes. Because we saved the pirates who attacked us. We healed the plague victims everyone else abandoned. We helped the Quilner who couldn't pay us. We don't just talk about caring. We prove it every day. Vorath was silent for so long that Chen thought he would kill her. Then he spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. My daughter is dying. The treatments are too expensive. If you can save her, you can, Chen said. Dr. Park is the best physician in the Fringe. Maybe in the galaxy. Bring her to us. No charge. No conditions. Vorath's eyes, those dead star eyes, suddenly showed something Chen never expected to see. Tears. Why? He asked, echoing the question so many had asked before. Why do you help everyone? Because someone has to, Chen said. And because we remember what it's like to be desperate, to be afraid, to need help and find none. We were there once. We won't let others suffer the same way if we can prevent it. Vorath made a decision that would change the Fringe forever. He opened a channel to his fleet. Stand down. All ships. Power down weapons. The contract is cancelled. Ash, his warriors protested. Commander, we were paid. I will return the payment, Vorath said firmly. We are accepting a new contract. One that pays in something more valuable than money. He turned to Chen. What do you need? Chen smiled, exhausted and relieved. Help us protect the innocent. Help us build instead of destroy. Help us prove that even the darkest parts of the galaxy can find light. We are Krell, Vorath said slowly. We have only known violence. Then let us teach you peace, Chen replied. The news spread through the Fringe like wildfire. The Krell Syndicate, the most feared mercenary group in the galaxy, had allied with humans. Not through force. Not through trickery. But through compassion? On Keplara 442 station. Tillith watched the Krell ships take up protective positions around the outpost. It made notes rapidly. Humans have done the impossible again, it recorded. They have turned enemies into allies, killers into protectors. They have transformed the most violent force in the Fringe into guardians, through nothing but kindness and understanding. That evening, Tillith sent an urgent message to the Council. The test has been completed, but humanity did not simply survive. They have fundamentally changed the Fringe. They have created peace where there was only violence, community where there was only isolation, hope where there was only despair. I recommend immediate admission to the Council, and I recommend the Council prepare for humanity's influence to change everything. The Vrax received Tillith's report with growing horror. Its plan had backfired spectacularly. Instead of destroying the humans, it had given them their greatest allies. What are they? The Vrax whispered to itself in the darkness of its quarters. Across the Fringe, beings asked themselves the same question. Pirates becoming peacekeepers. Mercenaries becoming guardians. Enemies becoming friends. All because of one strange species that refused to accept the galaxy as it was and insisted on making it better. And the humans, unaware of how much they had already changed, simply continued doing what they did best. They helped. They cared. They built. And they hoped. Part 5. What humanity truly is, the council chamber had never been so full. Representatives from all 7 founding species sat on their massive thrones. But today, the chamber also held something unprecedented. Thousands of observers. Beings from across the Fringe had come to witness humanity's final judgment. Ambassador Chen stood in the center. She had 6 months ago. But she was different now. Her uniform was worn from hard work. Her eyes carried the weight of everything she had experienced. Behind her stood her team, 50 humans who had changed the galaxy without meaning to. Beside them stood others. Quilner merchants, Druval refugees, former pirates, and Vorath, the Krell commander, his massive frame towering over everyone. The Vorax representative spoke first. Its voice was tight with barely controlled anger. The Council will now render judgment on humanity's application for membership. It gestured to the displays floating in the air. The evidence is clear. Humans are disruptive. They ignore established protocols. They help criminals. They interfere in matters that are not their concern. Images played across the screens. Humans rescuing pirates. Treating plague victims. Building schools. Training aliens in human knowledge. The Vraks presented each action as evidence of chaos. They have turned the Fringe into something unrecognizable, the Vraks continued. They have armed mercenaries, created allegiances with outlaws, spread their influence like a virus. They are dangerous to the established order. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Some in agreement, some in disagreement. The Corvin elder raised one thin hand for silence. Ambassador Chen, you may speak in your defense. Chen stepped forward. She had prepared a speech. Arguments about human achievements. Statistics about lives saved. Data about trade improvements. But looking at the council, at Tillith in the observers section, Voreth standing like a mountain behind her, she discarded all of it. I won't speak, she said simply. They will. She pressed a control on her datapad. The displays changed. Instead of Chen speaking, recordings began to play. Testimonials from the Fringe. First, the Quilner captain, whose ship they had saved. I was dead. My crew was dead. We had accepted this. Then humans came. They had no reason to help. They gained nothing. But they risked everything to save strangers. That is what humans are. Next, a Druval mother holding a child. My daughter was sick. No one would treat her because I could not pay. The human doctor, Parky, treated her anyway. He said all children deserve to live. He taught me that kindness is not a transaction. That is what humans are. A former pirate, the Kresh named Vekla, appeared on screen. I was a criminal. I hurt people. I deserved punishment. Humans gave me medicine instead, education instead, hope instead. They showed me I could be more than my worst choices. That is what humans are. The recordings continued. Testimonial after testimonial. Beings from across the Fringe, all saying the same thing in different words. Humans help. Humans care. Humans change lives. Finally, Voreth's voice filled the chamber. The Krell commander's scarred face was unmistakable. I was hired to kill humans, to destroy them completely. Instead, they offered to save my daughter. They researched my warriors not to threaten us, but to help us. They turned killers into protectors, not through force, but through compassion. That is what humans are. The chamber was silent when the recordings ended. Chen spoke again, her voice quiet but clear. You asked what humanity is. We're the species that shows up. For anyone. For everyone. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. The Vraks clicked its mandibles furiously. Sentiment is not qualification for council membership. Emotion is not logic. This changes nothing. It changes everything, Tillith said, standing from the observer section. The chamber gasped. Observers never spoke during judgments. Never interfered. Xenographer Tillith, the Corvin elder said, surprise in its ancient voice. You are out of order. I am aware, Tillith replied, but I must speak. I have observed 347 species. None of them were like humans. It walked to stand beside Chen. Council judges species on technology. On military power? On economic output. These are the wrong measurements for humanity. Then what measurements should we use? The Vraks demanded. Impact, Tillith said simply. In 6 months, humans have done what the Council has failed to do in 6,000 years. They brought peace to the Fringe. They turned enemies into allies. They created community where there was only violence. Not through conquest. Not through threats. But through demonstrating that another way is possible. The Quilner ambassador stood. I vote to admit humanity to the Council? Immediately. The Druval representative rose. As do I. One by one, species stood. Not just council members, but observers from the Fringe. Beings whose lives had been touched by humans. The Vraks looked around in disbelief. This is irregular. Observers, cannot vote. Then let it be irregular, the Corvin elder said, its ancient eyes fixed on Chen. Ambassador Chen, answer me truthfully. Why do you help everyone? What do you want from the galaxy? Chen thought about her answer carefully. Elder, humans are not special. We're just ... human. We fail constantly. We're violent, petty, and scared. We make terrible mistakes. She paused. But we also know what it's like to be alone, to be afraid, to need help. So when we see others in that position, we remember, and we try to help them make the journey we made. What journey? The elder asked. From surviving to living, Chen replied. From taking to giving. From fear to hope. Humans almost destroyed ourselves. We were on the edge of extinction. But we learned that we were stronger together. That helping each other wasn't weakness, it was strength. We want to share that lesson, not force it. Not demand it, just ... demonstrate it, and hope others choose to join us. Dr. Park stepped forward. If I may, Elder, you asked what humans want from the galaxy? We want the same thing we've always wanted. To explore, to learn, to meet new friends, to help where we can. We don't want to rule. We don't want to conquer. We just want to be part of something bigger than ourselves, Sophia added. We want to teach alien kids how to build things. We want to share meals with beings from across the stars. We want to see beauty in diversity. That's all. That's everything. The Corvin elder was silent for a long time. Then it spoke, and its voice carried the weight of ages. In 10,000 years, I have seen intelligence measured 1,000 ways. By logic, by strength, by technology, by conquest. But I have never seen it measured by compassion. Perhaps that is the greatest failure of the Council. We forgot that intelligence without heart is merely calculation. It stood, its robes flowing. I vote to admit humanity to the Galactic Council. Not as a class for civilization. Not as adequate or unremarkable. The Elder's eyes seemed to glow. I vote to create a new classification. Class 1, Humanitarian Civilization. A designation for species that lead not through force, but through inspiration. Not through domination, but through demonstration. The chamber erupted. Some in celebration. Some in protest. The Vrax clicked angrily. This is unprecedented. Irregular. Against all protocols. Good, the Corvin elder said firmly. Perhaps it is time for new protocols. Perhaps it is time the galaxy learned from humanity instead of just judging them. The vote was called. One by one, council members cast their decision. The Quilner voted yes. The Druval voted yes. The Corvin voted yes. Even species Chen had never met voted in favor. Finally, only the Vrax remained. It looked around at the chamber, at the beings celebrating, at the humans standing quietly in the center. At Chen, who met its gaze without fear or anger. Yes, the Vrax said finally. Its voice was bitter. Because I cannot deny what I have witnessed. Humans are infuriating, chaotic, disruptive, and absolutely necessary. The galaxy needs them, even if I hate admitting it. Chen smiled. Thank you. That might be the nicest thing anyone's ever said about us. The chamber exploded with noise. Music played. Beings cheered. Vorath raised Chen onto his shoulders, and the Krell warriors roared with approval. Sophia and Park hugged, tears streaming down their faces. Tillith stood to the side, recording everything, its own eyes glistening with what might have been tears. The celebration lasted for hours. But eventually, Chen found herself alone on an observation deck, looking out at the stars. The Corvin elder joined her. How does it feel, Ambassador? To have changed the galaxy? Chen shook her head. We didn't change the galaxy, Elder. We just showed people it could be changed. That's different. Is it? The Elder asked. Already, other species are following your example. Creating schools for refugees. Treating the sick regardless of payment. Helping instead of exploiting. You set something in motion that will echo for millennia. Then I hope it echoes loudly, Chen said. because there's so much work still to do. What will you do now? The elder asked. You have achieved your goal. Membership in the council. You could rest. Chen laughed. Rest. Elder, we're just getting started. There are species beyond council space who haven't been contacted yet. Beings who need help, who need to know they're not alone. We want to explore, to reach out, to say hello to the darkness and see who answers. The elder nodded slowly. The council will debate this for years. Exploring beyond our borders is dangerous. Everything worth doing is dangerous, Chen replied. But it's also necessary, because when we see darkness, we bring light. When we see silence, we say hello. That's what humanity is. That's what we'll always be. 5 years later, human peacekeepers worked on 200 worlds. Sophia's school system educated millions across the galaxy. Dr. Park's conservation efforts had saved over 200 species from extinction. The Fringe was now a protected region with the Krell as official guardians and ambassador. Chen stood before the council once more, requesting permission for humanity's boldest mission yet, to explore beyond known space, to find new civilizations, to offer friendship to those who had never known it. The debate was fierce, but in the end, the council agreed, because they had learned what Tillith had discovered months ago. Humanity was infuriating, chaotic, disruptive, and absolutely essential. In her quarters that night, Tillith made a final entry in her journal, the one she would publish as the definitive study of humanity. Spent my life believing intelligence was the galaxy's greatest gift. I was wrong. Compassion is, and humanity has it in abundance. They are infuriating, chaotic, reckless, and absolutely irreplaceable. The day we discovered what humanity truly is was not just important. It was the day the galaxy began to truly live. She paused, then added one final line. Interesting doesn't even begin to cover it. The end.